Hi everyone, just making a video tip for the characterizing development activity. Just to begin with, you should have collected all your statistics for your countries for each continent. Now you're into trying to come up with some patterns. So the first thing I do is I would open up all those maps. And then I would look at, the first thing that you're going to look at is HDI. So HDI, you're going to look at the global pattern. So in general, Africa is mainly what type of index? Whereas, the north and the south end is a little bit different. In general, when it comes to Africa or Asia, you're going to notice another trend. If you sort of draw a line here, you've got, one type of development on one side and another kind of development on another. So you're going to say in general, and then you're going to, use your case examples to back it up. So like, for instance, if Chad was my example country for Africa, and I was mentioning that the central part of Africa tends to be a low HDI, I would say, for example, like Chad, it's a low development index. Whereas, for instance, if I had chosen Thailand to represent Asia, I would say, for instance, the southern part of Asia has a medium index, just like Thailand, with a little smattering of some low index countries, and so on. So that would be your HDI. When it comes to population, once again, you're going to give the overall pattern for the continent and then pull on some specific examples. Now, when you're trying to explain what the connection is, what you might find is that it's hard to see any connection. It happens. When it comes to child mortality rates, maybe there isn't any connection with any particular thing. But there are others, like for instance, the HDI index. There is clearly a pattern here that's connecting to maybe one or multiple, items here, whether it's political regime or the biome, so on and so forth. There's exceptions to the rule, but I think you can look at the, for instance, HDI, and you can clearly see that this part of Africa is suffering the most. And for instance, when you take a look at your map of the biomes, it looks like clearly this part or this type of biome is almost exclusively found in Africa. So, you can make that strong connection there. When it comes to the politics, you got to be careful with it because there is a bit of a time lag here. So, for instance, right now we're seeing all these democracies, and yeah, isn't that wonderful? But let's go back 50 years and take a look at which places are still colonized. So here we are in the 1950s, and we can see that some continents still have a phenomenal amount of colonization going on, whereas others have been free for some time. And that's obviously going to impact a multitude of these, statistics that, if you're being colonized, more than likely, it's going to have an impact on, how well your country has improved over time. And then when it comes to undernourishment, sometimes you're just darn unlucky with for instance, the resources or the biomes that are found there. So, for instance, when it comes to resources, you're going to be looking at what sort of main types of food are available there, and the primary one is cereal. And cereals and wheat tend to be the basis of the food supply for most of our planet. So take a look in your region and see if there's much in the way of food being produced in the area. And that would be a strong influencing factor. I would probably connect with the undernourishment part. All right. So some of these, there may not be a lot to say, whereas others, like for instance, the HDI one, I would probably have a lot to say. So, you're looking at a page. So make sure that you describe, several patterns that you see, and try and make some connections to some of the other maps that I gave. And then there are some that they're just hard to to match up to anything. So that's the way geographic data can be. Some of it can be a little bit ugly and hard to see. All right, hopefully this helps out. If you have any questions, come see me.